The presence of God, if you're writing down, is not meant for the weak. It's meant for the weak that want to be strong. There are people who are weak who totally becomes weak, but there are people who are weak who wants to be strong. That standing to your presence is what will give you deliverance. Sickness is not a category for weakness, or is not a point for weakness. Delay is not a point for weakness. Challenges in your life is not a point for weakness. Your rising and falling is not a point for weakness. But the challenges in your life is there for you to be weak in order for you not to break them. Challenges in your life is there for you to be weak in order for you not to break them. Now, most people who are meant to be strong in the presence of God have become weak and cold. So what they are meant to deal with is dealing with them. The reason why God mandated the church is for the weak to come into the church and be strong and deal with what is making them to be weak. But when we come into the church, we are weak to handle what is making us to be weak. The presence of God is too powerful, like I would say, for sickness to be there and not to move. The presence of God is too powerful for cancer to be there not to move. The presence of God is too powerful for barrenness to be there not to move. The presence of God is too powerful for delay to be there not to move. The reason why most of us have issues and still come to the presence and still go back with the same issue is that the presence has made us to be weak. So we are weak right in the presence whereby we are meant to carry strength. If the presence of God cannot give you strength while you are weak, then how do you break what makes you to be weak? That is the issue. It's not all about prayer. There are people who can sweat and pray for 1 hour standing in the church, but in their spiritual life they are weak. If I'm teaching something here, look at your neighbor and say, there are people who can stand for 1 hour, but in their spiritual life they are weak. Keep standing. Do you know why you can't exercise yourself at home? Do you know why? The reason why you can't exercise yourself at home is that right in the present you could feel God. Yes. But your inner man is not a carrier of God. There's a difference between I feel God and I build God. When you feel God and you are building God in you, you can rehearse God. There's a difference between feeling the presence and building the presence. Some are not building the presence, they just feel God. Some know that God is powerful, but the foundation of God is not enough. Everybody have access to feel God. The witch doctors, they believe that God exists. Even the witches believe that God exists. But in their capacity of a witch, they are not building God inside of them. They are building devilish, satanic inside of them. I don't know if I'm talking to somebody here. So they are operating by what they build inside of them. So Christians are trying to operate in the presence of God, and they are not building what gives the presence of God. You lack the presence of God. God cannot be in a place, and what God has not planted there remains there. I don't know if someone is getting something. God cannot be in a place. The Bible says what he has not planted cannot be there. Yes. Stop thinking to feed God. Start thinking on how to build God. That's why people will say, I have taken my time in praying. Yes, nothing happened. Yes, you prayed. You spend time in the church personally with you and God. Are you sure of God's foundation in your life? See this altar. I fear this altar more than my life. Each time I come to this altar, there are presence I will see here. I don't need to distract them. I don't clap. I'm the head of the church. I will go back. Now, most people don't even understand the meaning of the atmosphere of God. Any place you are calling God representative is a place of honor. Let me tell you, there should be a way you appear to that place for things to happen in your life. You don't appear there just like this is your parlor. Even you respect your parlor more than your room. There are things in your parlor that you don't put in your room, true or false. And you discover there are things in your room that is not even in your parlor. Why do you have to put those things in the parlors? Because anyone that enters the parlor does not have access to your room. Most people, their room is not as fine as their parlor. What your child will do in the room, you will not allow the child to do it in the parlor. So there is a mindset of parlor and there is a mindset of the room. When you come in the presence, what do you come with? I've heard some women say they came to this church early in the morning and they could not behold the presence here. They could not behold it. I fear this altar more than my life. If you understand his presence will definitely understands you. People who are out of the presence cannot get the presence. The understanding of God's presence will give you God's presence. The presence of God is not your market. Some people rate the way they behave in the market right in the presence of God. Some people rate the way they behave in the streets right in the presence of God. Listen, the presence of God is far bigger and stronger than the things you see in your marketplace. The communication between you and men is not as the same of you communicating with God. Never you see men like you see God. No man has a solution until God is involved. Nobody has a solution until God is involved.